Hello crafty friends, Luisa Heinzel here. Welcome back to a new video on my little channel here. I'm very happy that you are here again with me. So today we would like to color this mermaid 3D cover here. That is going to be a junk journal in the end, hopefully. But first we need some color. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you think, okay, what's that? Why does she have a white mermaid here on her table? Please check out the info box, stop the video here so that you can watch the video parts that I recorded before this one here. So you will get a step-by-step tutorial how I came to this. Yeah, if you like to try it by your own and make such a cover with a doll that is glued here to the cover, then please check out the info box and click the videos part 1, part 2 and part 3 so that you can follow along and yeah, make your own if you want. If you watched one of the other videos, so I think that was part 2, yes, I think so, then you perhaps recognize that this looks a little bit different than what I showed you in the last step of the video, because now I have this little net here. I glued that out of camera, so I just wanted to let you know that, because yeah, so that you are not confused about this new layer that I have at here. It was a little bit a problem because this idea came to my mind when I found this packaging of a garlic, and I had it and I wanted to throw it in my trash can, and then I thought, oh, that could be a good idea to attach it to my cover. And then I had the problem that I couldn't record it for you, so that I couldn't add it to the last video where I made this, because my gesso was wet and I wanted to attach it, and yeah, there was no chance that I could set up my camera and film that. So I just want to tell you how I made that, if you perhaps would like to try that by your own. So it was a white net packaging of this garlic, and normally it looks like this, like a little sausage or something like that, where the garlic is in this net, and on the both ends there is something like a metal closure that, yeah, the garlic can't fall out of this packaging. And I've cut only those two ends, these metal things, because I don't want it to have them here on my cover. Then I folded this whole thing out. I teared it a little bit so that I have some of this fuzzy edges here. And in the first step, I put some more gesso onto my cover. And then I placed this piece here onto the wet gesso, waited a little bit, and then I took it off so that I have this structure here from the net. So this is not the net itself, as you can see, but it's only the pattern of it. And then I took the net as it was with the gesso on it, and I placed it here and pressed it a little bit with my fingers and my paintbrush so that it sticked here to the cover. The same thing I did here on the bottom of the cover with a piece of this net, and also here on the top. And yeah, my wish is that when I color this now and I use my Brusho colors that react with water, that then this pattern comes out really nice. So that's the plan, but I don't know if that will work because I never did that before. The two other covers that I made in this style, I colored with acrylic paints, as you perhaps saw in the other videos. And today I would like to use the Brusho colors. So yeah, they are watercolor pigments that react with water. And I would like to try to color this thing with this kind of colors. And as I said, I never did that before. I don't know what will happen during this video, but if you know me, you know that that can happen. So Yeah, I don't know if I will stay with those things here when that, if that works. Of course, I will do it the whole thing with the brush colors, but I also have a plan B on my table here. I have this acrylic sprays here in different, yeah, kind of mermaid watercolor, yeah, the color of water, this typical underwater color scheme, I think. Yeah, perhaps we have to use this in addition to the brushes, but the plan is not to do that, only when this other plan don't works. Yeah, okay, so, and for the face, I don't know what I will do until now, because I want to look, to let this mermaid look to be completely underwater. So that means that the face will have a bluish greeny color too. And I don't know until now what I will do with the eyes. If I paint them like in the last video with this vampire, with this black Stabilo oil pen, or if I perhaps paint some closed eyes, because that would look, I think, very nice here too. I don't know until now. I have to see that when the color is on here. And another problem that I have, where I don't know if I can solve that, is that, as you can see, the red of this original book cover comes here through my gesso. And I've added several layers of the white gesso, but obviously my gesso is not such good quality that it can cover up this stuff. So if you look closer, then you see, yeah, it's a little bit weird. In this, the areas here, it covered very well, but on the back side and the spine, I have this red here, and hopefully my brushes will cover that up. So why am I telling you that? When you want to do that by your own, I want to yeah, give you some tips that you don't have such problems like I have here, so that you can yeah, make it by your own without these problems. So when you cover your journal, so the book cover, use, so there are two ways. Use good gesso in a good quality, where you don't need too much to cover it up, and where the gesso is such good quality that you can cover it up completely white, then you will have no problems when you add the color later. Or use a lighter book cover, or a book cover in the color scheme that you would like to add to your gessoed piece in the end. So that would be, yeah, another possibility. When I grabbed this book and took it here to my space where I'm crafting, then I didn't thought about the color of this, and I didn't thought about what I would do to this cover in the end. So that was the problem. Okay, so on my desk here, out of my camera frame, I have several kinds of brush colors. So I've chosen all the blues that I have in my collection, and I also have chosen all the greens that I have. As you perhaps know, these colors are made from different colored pigments. So when you, let me just put this here to my table, sorry. When you look at this color sample that I sticked here to this green bottle, for example, so this is called emerald green. I think that's my favorite green. Then you can see, when you look closer, that this color is mixed out of different pigments. So when you use this and you use not too much water, then you will see the different kinds of green in this one color. The more water you use, the more these pigments will mix up with each other, and the more, the same green it will be. So when you use much water, then everything will mix up and you have one green. And when you use less water, you have this really cool effects. And hopefully that will look, yeah, nice on this thing here. Yeah, and I also have a brown here, because I thought it would be a good idea to have a neutral color for a little bit of contrast. I don't know if I need that until now, because yeah, I have to look how this will react here on my piece, but yeah. It's good when I have it here, because I have the feeling that the brush colors dry really fast. So I prepared it here if I need it, that I have it on hand. And of course, you can also use other color palettes from the brush collection. That would also be possible. And now I have to plan it a little bit, because of course when I spray water and I add the colors, I have to have something in mind that not everything is mixed up wild and not yeah, with a little plan, because I want, of course, to bring out this 3D structure and this underwater feeling. And I think I would like to do it by adding the blues perhaps in this direction and then go up with the green in this direction. Or another possibility would be to do it in this direction. Yes, let's try that. I think we will do it in this direction. I think that gives it more interest. So I try to start with the blues in this area here and then go up with green to the top. And I try to do this here again, so that when you have the book from the back, that it looks nearly the same. As you perhaps can hear, I'm a little bit nervous, because I worked not such often with the brush colors that I can imagine what will happen here. So it can be a total disaster, that maybe, but yeah, so let's try it. So I choose from the blues the darkest ones. I think that would be the best. So I think we try this 3 and then go up with the other 2. And yeah, if you have never worked with this, they come in these little plastic containers, and I just made a little hole with this thing here, with this little needle, and then I can press the needle into this hole so that nothing comes out, because these pigments, yeah, when they come to your table, when they come to your hand or something like that, where you don't want them, it's very hard to get them off. So I like this method with this little needle, so that you can close up your container when you don't need it, and nothing will come out. And the next problem is, you can add the brushes first and then spray water, or you can spray water first and then add the brushes. My experience is, when you first add the brushes and then spray with this little spray bottle, then some of the pigments will fly where you don't want them. So it can happen, you put your brushes here, spray water, and the pigments flow here to the areas where you don't want them, and then you have these little dots here over and over, and that looks not such nice, I think. The pigments that will fly away here are much lighter than this area here, and for my personal preference, that's not such good. So I will spray the water first, then add brushes, and when I think it has to flow more or it has to mix more, then I can add more water, but nothing will fly away. So yeah, I don't know how the brush experts would like to do that, but I do it like that. Let me just please bring this in the right direction, because these blues are really similar to each other, and yeah, I want the darkest blue to be here on the bottom. Oh, I'm so nervous. Okay. So until now it looks not such bad, I think. And I like to mix those things. So for example, this blue here is a little bit purple as well, so it's a really great and dark purple. And with this other blues, that looks really nice, I think. Now I turn it around a little bit so that this color can move a little bit and that the pigments can, yeah, mix a little bit with each other. And yeah, I just have to decide if I want to add some more water or perhaps a little bit of green here. I think we can do that. And sometimes it looks a little bit weird when you add the new color, but when it gets in contact with water, then it gets the color that is, yeah, planned. When it's dry, it looks sometimes a little bit weird. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm so nervous. Yeah, so let's go on here. I don't know until now if I like that, but yeah, let's see. The background of my color is reacting in a very different way, so it looks completely different than on this net, but yeah, that's not so bad, I think. Just add some green here as well, because I think this blue is a little bit too blue for me, so perhaps this can be better. And I'm always talking about that you don't overthink what you are doing, but I think now I'm on this point where I have to follow my own tips and, yeah, don't overthink it as well, but that's not so easy. So this blue, I hate this blue. That's not really underwater color. I think I will give something of this more yellow thing here, and perhaps some of the brown to get this bottom a little bit more, yeah, like it is more underwater, so deeper under the water. And perhaps these edges can be a little bit darker as well. Yeah, that's not so bad, I think. Okay. So, okay, so I expect that when I add the color here on the top of this dress, then it will go, of course, in this direction. So I, yeah, do it like this. I cover the whole thing with water here, first on the, only on the dress. And then let's go with this green. Ugh. Sometimes that sticks very good in there. and I try to get the amount of color that I think I need for this in this step to my piece. Because when I dry it and then add a second layer, it can happen that the first layer will mix with the second, and I don't want that. Because of that, I try to get the whole stuff in the color I want it. And I try to, yeah, make sure that I have everything covered up in the way I want it, so that I don't have to add a second layer. I know on some mediums, these brush colors will not react with the second layer, because the first layer is fixed in some way. I don't know why. It belongs to the medium where you put it onto. But often on this normal things, yeah, it will react. It will be, how is that called? Reactivated. I think that's the right word. And yeah, I think then this whole effect that we have here until now will disappear. And I think, yeah, that's not such a good idea. But of course, you can try that and tell me if I'm wrong with this opinion or this experience. That, of course, maybe. And it is, of course, a difference when you use high quality materials or high quality products like, yeah, as I said in the beginning, more such a better quality gesso, for example. Then it may be that these problems don't come to you. But I like to make my things with, yeah, mostly low budget products, because I can't spend such much money to buy high quality products with higher price. And yeah, because of that I have to live with it here. Tips or something like that would not be, or the problems I talk about would not be such problems when you use high quality products. That may be, but I think this is really cool. But we have to, I don't want to lift it up by it, I have to lift it up because in these areas I need more color. Make sure that, yeah, you carefully turn this around and bring color to the sides of this piece where you glued the fabric of the doll with the gesso to the cover, so that you make sure that when you look from this side that there is no white space, because that would look really strange when there would be white things that show out there. I think that's not such a thing that we want. Let me just try to get this. Don't know if you can see anything, sorry. Yes, I think that's okay. So let me just check the other side. Yeah, there we need something too. Let's take this one here. Okay, not so bad. Okay, so where are my other two blues? Here, so don't mix them up. I'm not the person who can remember the names of these colors, so I put them on my desk here in a way where I can find them later, because I can't remember how they are called. There are people that know all this brush or color names, and I'm really surprised how that is possible. But yeah, if you can't remember that, you have to find another way to do it, and I think that's okay too. And even if this brush or colors are made with different colored pigments, I think they look yeah, a little portion nicer when you mix them another time. So when you not only think, okay, this is already mixed from different kinds of blue, but when you mix two of them, then when you look closer, you have, yeah, such a really cool effect. So for example, in this area, the greens mixed with each other. And I like that very much, because that looks not only like this watercolor effect, but there are colors that you, yeah, would not expect here, and that you, when you are not a watercolor expert, can bring to such a piece only in a very hard way, because it's hard to mix that by yourself with watercolors. So I think for me it's hard. And with this brushes, some of this mixing job is already done for you, and that's, I think, a cool thing. I just want to have some more of this green here, I think, to get this purple here a little bit, yeah, to break it a little bit up, because it's not a scarf that she has there, I think. Yeah, so now let's decide what we do with the face and this upper part. Let's try to give her a light green. So I spray much water in the hope that the green will run away a little bit, and I have the chance to add only a little bit, and then that it's later on a little bit, yeah, how shall I say, a little bit lighter. So if I want to add something with my Stabilo oil pen, that I have the chance to make it visible. Oh, don't know. We need blue. I think we will need blue. How? That looks strange. Ooh, that's not too bad. But on the right side, it's a little bit too much, I think. Now I have the problem that I don't know how to bring the color behind the hair without moving the rest too much. I think let's try it like this. Yes, that works. I think you can't see it, but it works. A little bit more green here, perhaps. And I don't know if you can understand or imagine that I have a really big problem with explaining something when I am in the process of this stuff here. So please excuse when my sentences are a little bit weird. I think it's a really big difference. I don't know if you can understand that when you don't make your own YouTube videos. It's a big difference when the camera is recording or not. So perhaps if you have a YouTube channel and you have the same experience or a different experience or some tips for me, then please leave a comment and let me know what you are thinking, and perhaps yeah, how you can manage this problem. So I just realized that this is already beginning to dry, but in a way that I don't want it. I need more blue here, so yeah, let's try it. So I think this is this la. Oh my god, is that the wrong one? No. I think that's a little bit better. Okay, so then let's add a little bit of brown here on top to get something like the imagination of a frame or something like that. So I have this brown here, and perhaps when I add it there on the top, that can help. And what I also wanted to say, there are some people on Facebook and Instagram and yeah, via my private messenger on Facebook that told me that yeah, this is something interesting, something new that you've never seen before. Of course, thank you for that. And you also told me that you are on the way to search for some Barbie dolls or other dolls that you can use for your own projects like this. And what I wanted to say, please, please, please don't forget to share that in some way, because yeah, when I make this tutorial here, of course, I want you to have something like some help or something like that, that you can do it by your own. Of course, some inspiration and that stuff, but of course I would love to see your results. And that's a thing that yeah, it's very hard to find. So when you post that somewhere and you don't mention my name or something like that, or on Instagram, when you don't tag me, then I have nearly no chance to find that. So sometimes I found some of those posts by happy accident, and I was very happy. But of course, I am willing to repost that or to share it. So the things that you did with these techniques, and of course, if you have a YouTube channel, I can share that on my Facebook page. So even if it's not the biggest page and I'm not some of the yeah, biggest people there in this world, but perhaps you would like to have a little kind of support or something like that, then please mark me in somewhere there, and I will of course repost your results. I'm so nervous. So now let's see what can happen here with this background stuff, with this red under it. I don't know. And I also try to get a little bit more color here, because here is this problem with the red, and I don't want, perhaps, I think it's better, I don't want the color to move around so much, because then I think it stays a little bit thicker here, so that it can cover up this shitty red that we have under our gesso. Hopefully. And even if the backside of the cover with this thing here gets a little bit darker, perhaps, I don't know how that looks when it's dry, I don't care about that, but I don't want to see this red. And I think you don't look at the front and the back cover of your book at the same time, so that's not possible, I think. So I think it's not so important when so it's not a problem when the back side would come out a little bit darker than the front side. And yeah, let's do it like this, give it a bit of water, and then let's try to mix that up a little bit. And I'm always surprised about all those mixed media experts that spray water and then add color, or yeah, the other way around, and then they move this piece, and in the end it looks really awesome. And I think, okay, how did you do that? How can you control these colors in such a extreme good way? So yeah, especially on the edges of the book cover, it's a little bit hard to get the color there. Don't know why, but perhaps that can look good in the end when it's dry. But I think it's not too bad. And of course, when you use much water, then you will have some things here on your table, but you can remove that very easily. But remove it when it's wet. So that's a tip for me, from me for you, because yeah, I made the experience that when it's dry, it's a little bit hard to get it off. So let me just check this here through the camera. I'm thinking about leaving the spine here as it is, but I don't know until now, because yeah, I think, yeah, let's add some brown here on the top, this area, so that it's not too much greeny and that kind of stuff. Perhaps like this, so that the spine has, yeah, some interest for itself, or how can I say that? And then I will let this dry and look what it looks like when this is completely dry. Okay. I will clean my fingers, I will wait a little time, and then I will be back and show you the result. Okay, when it's dry, it looks like this. Not a really big difference. Now in this stadium I want to add some shading, because this whole stuff is now in this, yeah, hopefully underwater color scheme. But I would like to have the mermaid to come out a little bit more. For that, I use this Stabilo All pen again that I have shown you in the last video. And I got a message where you can find this pen, or what is this exactly. When you go to Amazon, or where you normally buy your craft supplies, so I think on Amazon it's available, so I have mine from Amazon, then you'd put Stabilo and this all what is here, and then pen, and you can also add this number. It's 8046. So when you put this or only Stabilo and this 8046, then you will get exactly this pen. Sometimes they also offer it in packs of more than one. That can be a good idea to order when you would like to use it in a wet way, so with water, and in a dry way, so that you can that you have more than one on hand. If one tip is wet, that you can use another one that's dry, and you can work in one step and in one process, and you don't have to wait until this is dried when you used it with water and it's perhaps a little bit wet. So by the way, when it gets wet, it's no problem. As I showed you in the last video, you only have to wait a little bit. I put mine on top of my wood oven to dry it, and then it's nearly no problem to get it dry in a very short time. But when you don't want that, you can order a bigger pack and then use them as you would like it. And I go around here and try to get some of this color of the pen here around my around the shape of this mermaid. And then in the next step I will add some water. Here on this net it's a little bit tricky to get some color on it here, because I don't want to lift up the net from the surface, but I think the gesso is doing what I planned, and it sticks there. In some areas I made it a little bit 3D as well, and there you have to be a little bit careful, because that you don't tear it off with adding the color of the pen. But I think that makes sense. So I just go around here, and before I come to this upper areas, I will add a little bit of water, because then I can see how dark the color will come out. So I take a really thick paintbrush so that I have an easier job. You can also spray the water directly to your piece, but I think it's better to do it like this, because of this brush hole reactivation problem, so that you have a little bit more control than when you spray it. And when you would spray it, it may happen that too much of the color goes to the inside of this glued piece, and then you will have to add several layers to get this shading effect. And I think with this method it's a little bit easier, and you can, especially with the blending, you can blend it easier to the outsides where you want it when you do it with a paintbrush. And I try to get the color directed to the slot where the doll is glued to the cover, because when there is only the brush color, or in the worst case there is shown white, then that would be not such a good shading effect. So I try to get the slots filled up with this shading black. And when the paintbrush is not too wet, then that works really well, I think. So I just see it here. And you can also, here it's a little bit lighter, and perhaps we want it a little bit darker to the end. You can also do it like this and go over it very carefully, because then you can bring out the structure of your gesso and the structure of the brush strokes that you perhaps made here before. And I think that looks a little bit like an underwater plant or something like that. But I think I have to do it a little bit more here. Yeah, perhaps like this. And now I can see how dark my shading is here when I have blended. And then I can go to this direction. Yeah, to get it perhaps a little bit lighter, because the dress of the mermaid, of course, here in this area, it's much thicker and more volume of the dress, and that would look more realistic when you can talk about realistic looking of this kind of piece. When here in these areas the shading is not too dark. And I'm really surprised how hard and sturdy this whole thing, especially with this hair, came out with the gesso, because this was not an original Barbie doll as you perhaps saw in the previous videos, and I was not sure if that would work, and I'm really surprised about this result, because you can go over it now here with this paintbrush, and you have to use a little bit of pressure to get this color in the areas where you want it, and that's absolutely no problem. So I'm really happy about that, because the steps before, of course, were very yeah, patience killing. You need a little bit of patience to get that managed with this layers of the gesso, and then wait until that is dry. And I hate it when then in the next steps something goes wrong and don't works like you planned it. I don't like that, but sometimes that happens. So I'm very happy about this thing here. So let's just do it here a little bit, because I like this wave here of the hair. And I think, can you see that? Yes, I think we can bring it out a little bit more, and can try to make, yeah, something like a definition of this little thing here. Let's see. Some people use their fingers to blend this Stabilo pen on a flat surface. That would be a good idea to do, because you have really good control over it when you do it with your finger. But in this case, I have no chance to get my finger into these little slots that are here. And because of that, I use the paintbrush. When you have the hair in a flatter way, for example, on your piece, of course you can also blend this thing with your finger. Or when you have very thin fingers. Or very flexible fingers that can go into the slots. But I think the most of you have to use a paintbrush like me. Yeah, sometimes I have to make some little jokes, even if there are many people that don't understand my jokes, but yeah, I have to live with that. seems to make a little difference. Yeah. Okay. I think we need something here. Oops, sorry. And this is a little bit very light. I haven't recognized this here before, but in this slot there's a little bit water, so it's not completely dry. So I take this color that I have there and put it here to the missing parts where I think it has to be a little bit darker. Of course you can add some water and some brush colors as well, but for me it's a little bit better to control when I do it like this. Okay, so let's leave it like this, and then let's add some shadows to the face as well when we have our Stabilo here on hand. So I do that like I did it with the vampire piece before. So if you missed that, please watch the other video. There I am explaining it, I think, very detailed, so that you can follow and yeah, do it by your own, so that I don't have to explain that again, because I don't want to be the video as long as the last one. I was a little bit shocked when I opened my editor and when I edited when I did the editing of the last video, don't know how that is called, I was a little bit shocked because that video was so long, and while I did that thing and while I was in the process, I haven't recognized that it was such long. So yeah, sorry. But there were so many questions about this whole stuff that I thought I have to explain it in a very detailed way, and I tried that in the last video, but I don't want to yeah, say everything twice what you perhaps know from the last video. So if you want to see that in a little bit more detailed way, then go to the info box of this video. There I will link the other one so that you can watch that. And as I said, it's the same here, what I do with the shading. The good thing with this Stabilo oil pen is when you have the feeling that it's a little bit too much, you can remove it by adding a little bit more water, and you even could remove it completely so that you can yeah, start from new. And I just recognize that even on the brushes it's no problem, so they stay there where they are. I think that's a cool thing. And I try to get, I'm a little bit uncontrolled today. I try to get a little bit, yeah, kind of a watercolor thing to the head. Perhaps I can do it like this, that you can see it better. So I try to get the different layers. So the layer of the brush shows, the layer of this Stabilo oil pen, and mixed with the water, try to, yeah, get it in such a watercolor effect that you would have on paper as well. Because I think that can give it, yeah, this underwater imagination. But here it's a little bit too dark. perhaps we can make it like this, because often when you let the color flow and yeah, go over your piece, it goes there where you actually wanted it, without that you have to do much. That's, I think, a good thing. Yeah, that's not so bad, but this little slots here, that's a little bit of a problem, because yeah, I can't get the color there into this slot. And my problem is I don't have, it's a little bit, yeah, not such professional. I don't have a small brush at the moment here at where I'm working, because as you perhaps know, normally I craft in my caravan, and so during the summer months I'm in my caravan where I have all my craft supplies, and now I'm in my kitchen of the home where I live in winter. So every time I want to craft and I want to do something, I have to pick up my things from the caravan. It's yeah, nearly 1 hour with my car away from here, and I have to pick up what I want to use for my crafting and my YouTube tutorials. And I forgot the box where my brushes are in. So normally I wouldn't use such a brush like you can see here, because I think that's made for wall painting. Of course it's a brush and it would be no problem if you use that, but yeah, for this artsy stuff, of course it's not such good as when you use an yeah, professional art brush. But just for explaining why I'm doing this like I'm doing it here, because yeah, as I said, no tiny brush here at the moment. But that also hopefully can show that you can do yeah, also those special kinds of projects with the easiest things and with the things that you have at hand. So if you don't have a brush that's made for painting, so then you can also use your fingers, or a paintbrush that's made for walls. So why not? Nobody says that you have to spend your money for expensive craft supplies. And I just realized that in my camera that looks such bright and yeah, something like a neon color. Is that the right English word? Neon. In reality, it's not such extreme, I think. Yes, no, it is not. Don't know. So I think excuse me. I think that's good. So now I have a little bit of color here in the eyes, and also left and right side on the lips, and I think that's not too bad. Until now I don't know what to do with the eyes, but when this is dry, perhaps I have an idea. But I think you even could leave it like it is now, because the color in the face is such, yeah, interesting, I think. So for my opinion, it looks really interesting, and perhaps you could leave it like it is now. And this yellow that comes there is a little bit like a, yeah, highlight or something that makes it a little bit more interesting. What you can't see in my camera is that here is a really green thing. Don't know, that looks a little bit gray in the camera. Even if I have some new lights here, it's not so easy to film the reality, I think. But yeah, please believe me. So I will let the face dry as it is now. And yeah, this morning I got a message from my dear friend Angelika. Hi, Angelika. So we always have to do this. It's a little, yeah, something like a joke between us. So sorry. I will get much trouble when I don't do this in my video. And yeah, she watched my last videos, and I'm really happy because, yeah, I love when the people are interested in my stuff. And she said, okay, Louisa, I think the Stays On Timber Brown stamp pad here, this ink pad, is your new friend. Because she has such craft supply friends like Gesso or like Mod Podge, or she is a very big fan of sari silk, for example. And so she said, you also have a new friend, and this is this Stays On Timber Brown, because she she gave me this tip. So this she recommended to buy that because it's it sticks on nearly every surface. And for distressing, it's a little bit tricky. So when you would like to distress tags or journaling cards or something like that, it's a little bit tricky. But with this little other friend here, this little beauty blender sponge, it's nearly no problem, and I love this. I never had such a good quality ink pad before, and for this here, I like to distress the edges of the journal cover because I think that gives it a little bit more interest, and this brightness and extreme colors perhaps will turn into a little bit more vintagey. And so yeah, let's try that. Let me just bring this in frame. Hopefully you can see that. So I just take this ink pad here and take my beauty blender sponge, and I go over it like this. I put it to my table so that I can handle it a little bit better. Then I take my cover. Oh yes, Angelika, thank you very much for this tip. So because this is not only, it's not only distressed, it looks, such cool, because I think you can't see that, but for you, I think when I look through my camera, it looks like it is, something like a frame here. But when you look closer, then you see that the upper edge of this journal cover is really, really dark, especially when you go over it a few times. And then it blends out when you press a little bit more, or do it like this when you have not so much ink left on the sponge. Then it blends out really, really nice. And the good thing is, as I said, you can use it on several surfaces. So the brand says it will even stay on glass, plastic, and such stuff. So when I distress it here and I add water later, I will have no problem that my distressed edge will go away. And I think that's really cool for such projects, because sometimes you need the distressed edge in this point to get an imagination of the end product. How will this look in the end? And when you have a water-soluble ink pad and you distress it and you have to add water, then it can happen that you can do your distressing work twice. And I think that's waste of ink, waste of money, waste of time, waste of everything. So yeah, I'm really happy that I have this. And even if it's a little bit more expensive, so I told you I like to do things with low budget supplies or with no supplies. That's my favorite thing to craft with. No supplies, or things that you have at hand, that you have in your house. But this is really, really cool, and it's really worth it to buy it, because I think that are enough arguments, even if I will not get any money or nice words from Stays On or this brand. But yeah, as you can see, I can also go over this structure of this garlic net, and it gives it a really cool frame. Yeah. And I know that my friend Angelika is now sitting in front of her smartphone, I think, and she's watching this video, and she, I think, is laughing very much because, yeah, sometimes she tells me, oh, Louise, you can use this and this and this, and I say, no, I don't want to use it because I don't want to spend money, and I want to, yeah, don't break my creativity with such tools and things. But yeah, in this case, I changed my mind completely. And I think she will laugh a little bit about me because, yeah, I wasted perhaps some time where I could have an easier job in the past by doing this. But yeah, in the beginning of my junk journaling time, I did this stuff only with watercolor. So I distressed everything with watercolor. Of course, that's, yeah, a very hard thing because that doesn't stay there like ink, and you have to do the distressing in different layers until you get the result that you want. And the very first days I used this children watercolor palette, and sometimes there's ones that you can get in a dollar store or something like that for, yeah, very less money. And yeah, it was okay, and I came to results where I was happy with. But when I see this, how this covers the edges and the surface with one time, and how flexible it is, then I think I was really an idiot to try that with normal children watercolor. And this, yeah, things that are not made for that. Now here I have to, yeah, do it a little bit like this. I want the structure from this net here out a little bit, and get this darker, this lighter green a little bit darker, but not too brown. Not so easy. So when you choose this ink, you have to practice this a little bit, because when this ink is once on your piece, you can't move it. So if you perhaps know this distressing inks from Tim Holtz or other brands, oh, I said the name, Angelika, I said the name. Yeah, so you all know this Tim Holtz distressing inks, perhaps. You can remove and reactivate them with water. That can be, of course, helpful in some cases, because, yeah, it's not so, now, shall I say that? Yeah, I know the German words, but I don't know the English word for that way, what I want to say. So when you do it here, it is there, and you can't do much to it. You can't make it like this and then blend it into there, or spray water and then blend it. Because, yeah, when it's on the cover, it's there. And for that you have to practice it a little bit, so that you can get this blending effect. But for example, also for stenciling or something like that, so you could also stencil over these things here on your cover with some leaves or some sea stars or some seahorses or something like that. That would be very cool, because, yeah, you can do it, nothing will smear, and it will stay there. And now it's the time that StazOn can call me and tell me how much they will pay me for this advertisement. But of course, that never will happen. Yeah. Why? Yeah, for this little edge here, I press my cover like this to get the ink only to this thing here, and not that it's not too to white to this side or to this side. So yeah, I make a little hill from this whole thing, and then this mermaid is too heavy. My surface is running away. Okay, so on the other side as well, that's a little bit tricky because it's very sturdy, but you can, yeah, hold it like this. Then just go over it, and I try to get this edge here. So here's the little slot where the back cover and the spine are attached to each other, and of course into this little slot there will go no ink when you don't press too much. So when you go over it like this, you can distress this both lines here, this both edges. So yeah, let me show you in a second why I'm doing it like this. Because when you have the book from the back side and you look at it like this, then I think it's nicer when you have this whole frame here, so also here, and not only here. That gives it a little bit more like a frame, even if it's only the back side. And also when you look at it like this, then you have the feeling of a frame of this whole thing. When I do it like this, hopefully you can see that when it's a little bit darker here too. And because of that, yeah, I try to do it like this. And I also now will add some of this brown ink here too. I start here because I don't know how that will look in the end, but I think we can get out some more of the structure of the dress with this ink. And I do it in the same way like I did it with the vampire, but more carefully. I don't press much, I go over it only a little bit to get this, yeah, there's lines and little things that are upper from the cover. I know that's not the right word. So that come more out from the cover, that I get them a little bit with this brown. That gives it perhaps a little bit more, also more something like a vintage style or something like that. Like used or altered or something like that. And the structure of our dress comes out a little bit more. Yes. I hope that I didn't know that until I did it here, but that will work. And what I also have to say is, don't know why, when you put this here on the surface and it dries, so this stays on ink, then it will stay a little bit glossy. Don't know why, but it is glossy in the end. I think it's not, yeah, not a problem, so I don't think it looks bad or something like that, but I wanted to let you know, if you would like to try it and you don't like it, then you perhaps have to go over it with a matte finish, something like artist fixative spray or something like that, that dries in a matte way and don't get such glossy. But I think it brings really cool effects here to this, because the brushes are really matte now, and yeah, with this stays on ink you get a little bit more interest and the feeling of some more layers and that stuff. And I have the feeling that I can control that in a really, really good way, because yeah, don't know how that is when the how that will be when the ink pad is a little bit more empty. So this is brand new, but yeah, when you press it down, you can, with the time, when you do it a little bit more often and you have a little bit practice, you can control how much ink you have on the sponge, and that's a cool thing. With this Tim Holtz distressing inks, I couldn't manage that in such a good way. So yeah, so that you can get this different effects of the brown. And perhaps you can see that here it's a really dark, and when I don't press too much, it gets a little bit lighter, and that's, I think, a really cool thing. That brings much interest to it, much more than you can do, for example, with a paintbrush or something like that. And of course you can do that in a really controlled way. So that's also a thing that I think is a really good argument for this. Of course I could do this with my Stabilo pen, but then I have to spritz water or use a dry paintbrush, and yeah, I think this method is more controlled, especially in these areas here of the head where you have small space to work on. So I think that's better. And when you don't press too much, you also get this only to the top of the things. So all the things come out here. The fibers of this hair will be touched, but not all the spaces in between. And I think that's a good thing. Yeah, because then you don't cover up your whole thing, because you don't want that. You only want some accents to it and some more interesting, some more depth. And you don't want to cover it up completely, because yeah, then you can't see anything of the rest. So yeah, that makes sense, hopefully. And it gives it, yeah, something like a used look. When I touch that here, brings me out all these little brush strokes that I made in the very first step when I added my gesso. And that's cool, I think. So because until now I have the problem that I don't like this very bright brush or colors on this, especially this piece, because for me it's a little bit too much. Of course we want these colors, this, yeah, underwater effect things, but when you look at it now, it looks, I think, much better than before, because you have this bright colors from the brushes between this ink. And yeah, I think that looks a little bit more artsy and professional. And also, of course, I like this this style of this used things. And I think the most printables for junk journals, so if you would like to make a junk journal out of it and you perhaps would like to use a printable, the most printables that are existing, I think, have this little vintagey, browny, beige look. And so when the cover is too bright, I think, yeah, that looks strange when you open the book and there is this vintage look, and outside you have all this bright, nearly neon colors. I think that's something like strange, because you expect something when you have the book in your hand, and when you open it and that's a too extreme difference and contrast, I think that looks really strange. And also when I touch it here on some spaces, the material of the dress comes through, and I think my camera can't show that in such a detail, but please believe me, that looks really cool. Yeah. Just try to get this shading here a little bit more, but you have to be really carefully when you do that in the face, because as I said, it will stay there. But I just want to have some of this brown in the face and not only the black. not so easy to film. So here it's a little bit strange. So in my camera it's still looks really, really bright and extreme, but in reality it's not such extreme. So I will blend in some photos in the end of the video so that you can see perhaps the real colors. I try to photograph that like my eyes can see it now, because yeah, that's a really tricky thing to get this details out in the camera. So I just go over it here a little bit to bring this structure here out. Perhaps that can work. I think it looks good when you do it here on the frame of the net and not too much into it. Perhaps that can make this 3D effect a little bit better. Not so easy to control because you have to press a little bit more when you are in the spaces from the net, but not too much, to get not to get these dots from the ink and this tool. Yeah, so I think that's good. I think you can't see any difference, sorry. So let's just check this whole stuff here. Close the ink pad. My best friend now. Okay, so what I now am thinking about is some white splashes. I think that can be a good idea. So by the way, what you see here, this white thing that comes from my light, sorry, in reality it looks something like this. I can't solve that at the moment, I think. Yeah, I think now you can see it better. I tried to splash with some white because I think this underwater stuff needs a little bit like this water bubbles or something like that. So let me just prepare some white color and then I will be back. Oh yeah, so here I'm back. I just decided to use some gesso for this mixed with water because hopefully that will dry when you have the little dots on your things cover on the surface, then perhaps it will dry a little bit more dimensional. With acrylic paints, of course, white acrylic paint, that will work too, but when you spritz your so when you splash your acrylic paint to your piece, then oh my god, sorry. Arg. Yeah, when you spritz acrylic paint to your piece, then first it looks like it is something like a bubble, so like this little hill, or how would you call that? And when it is dry, then it gets flat and nothing from this is left over anymore. So I haven't tried it with gesso until now, but I thought for this underwater thing it could be helpful to have a little bit more yeah, of this 3D thing and this water bubble effect. Of course you can also put some little stones, rice or something like that to your piece before you paint it with gesso, and then in the end you will have this effect because the gesso gets the structure from this down below. So when you have these little things here, for example rice pieces, dried rice, then you will get this effect too but you have to paint them white then when you have this water bubble effect, when you want to have that. And I think in this way, when you do it like this, it's a little bit easier. I once tried to glue rice to my cover, and yeah, when I did that, after I finished it, I knew I will never do that again, because that was such a hard job. It is possible. It looks really crazy, really interesting, and such great. It was one of my first, yeah, something like mixed media book covers, but yeah, I went crazy with this, with that stuff. I can tell you that was really, really hard. So I would recommend to do this easier way when you are really a person with really big patience. Then you can do that with rice as well. But yeah, would also be, I think, a possibility to use some white small stuff that you can add here, but then you need a really good glue, of course, that will stick on the surface that you have already here. So in this case, I would like to go the safer way, because I know when I do it like this, nothing will happen and it will dry and it will look okay, I think. Yeah. Once I did something that I think I would like to try here, so that it looks not only like there's watercolor, water underwatery drops, but perhaps we can put it like this and then let flow something here from the top a little bit. I did that with another journal cover with a painted, yeah, something like an acrylic face I painted onto it, and that looked really cool. Try to get that here. Please don't mix with my brush or color. And the good thing is you can remove it from the Stays On ink there on the distressed edge and nothing will happen. Yoo-hoo! And I think that's, yeah, something like a cool thing. Put this into the focus like this. And I just try to get some of my color here very thick, and then spritz a little bit of water. I think that was a little bit too much of the paint. A little bit, no, not too much, but too thick. So it will react a little bit with the brushes, but I think in a really nice way. So I think that's cool. Yes. Okay, so let's try that on the back side. How can I show you that? Let me just bring it in this direction. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know what my fridge today wants to tell me. Hopefully you can't hear that in the video. It makes a really strange noise in the background. Hopefully it's not too nasty for you. So if so, please excuse. But I can't control that. It's a really strange machine. And sometimes I recognize that when I cut the video and watch it by myself and not while I'm doing it. There are kitchen machines that are talking with you while you are crafting, and when you are not crafting, they don't talk. Do you have such things in your kitchen too? Okay, so I think I'm really happy with this. Now, hopefully when it is dry, it will look like this, and you can't see it, sorry. Give me just a second to show you what I'm talking about. So, yeah, that changed a little bit. Looks like this now. And I really love how this green ran over the blue. And here we are on a point, I think, where I have to mention this layering thing again. Because some people say it's all about layering. And then perhaps you think, okay, when I add my color and then I layer another color above, or I make my splatters here and then I let the paint flow like I did it there, perhaps you say, okay, I will destroy what I did before. No, you won't destroy it. Of course, some of these splatters here will go around and will not look the same like before, but you will also get some really cool new effects, and that's the cool thing. The splatters in the end will not look all the same, but here in this direction they look a little bit different, and it looks like it goes, yeah, away like this, so it blends out a little bit. And that's, I think, the interesting thing and the cool thing about mixed media and that stuff. Yeah, okay, so I have to let this dry now really well so that I can go to the face and the eyes and the rest of the face, even if I don't know until now what I shall do. But yeah, I will think about that while this is drying, and then I will be back. Okay, so here I'm back. So let's give her a face. I thought about that really long, and yeah, I came to the idea that she needs some colored eyes. So I'm just preparing here from my acrylic ink, no, not ink, acrylic paint spray bottle. I'm preparing a little bit of paint by taking this cap from the bottle off and putting it to my thing here. So as you can see there, I have these two little dots because I only need a little bit of color, and I take this toothpick stick here, so there's the wooden thing. Of course, you can also do it with a really thin paintbrush, but as I said, I don't have one here, and I think it's easier to control when you do it like this. Yeah, hopefully you can add the color there where you want it. So let's just try to get this, yeah, something like a round thing into the eye. And of course, when you do it with acrylic paints, you have to be much more concentrated and carefully, because you can't remove it such easy than with this Stabilo oil pen I showed you in the last video on this vampire cover. When you do something with the Stabilo oil pen and you don't like it, then you can add water and you can easily remove it, but that would not be possible with this kind of color. So yeah, when you do that, you have to be a little bit more careful. And I just add some lighter color here to get a little bit more interest to the eyes. I do that in several steps. I'll use the both sides of this wooden stick here to get this mixed up a little bit. One side of the stick for the darker green turquoise color, and the other side for the lighter color. And I try to make a circle, but not that exact. Then I would do it on a paper, so I go around a little bit and try to, yeah, I can't say to blend it, but to make it a little bit more loose than on the last piece. Yeah, because I think that can look great when it's not such concrete thing. Just go over it here a little bit. Also, I try to get some paint here to the upper eye, because I think when I mix that with the black pen, I think that yeah, can look a little bit more interesting than when it's only black. And now I'm trying to get some eyeshadows here with the rest of the paint, only a little bit, and I only smear the color that I already have on my wooden stick here. Okay, try to get some light effects here by removing the color. That can also be a good trick I often use, because when you like I did in the last video, put the color directly onto the surface, then it can, or onto the other paint, then it can look like, it looked in the last video, something weird and something like sticked on. You get more interest to your eyes when you do it like this. But of course, with a last piece, that was not not possible in such a way, because we used this Stabilo oil pen, and for that, we have the surface and we can't move it around in this way like we can do it with the acrylic paint. But it's until now just a little bit too light for me, so I grab something from the darker color, add it here. Yeah, perhaps like this. Then I take my heat gun just dry it a little bit, and now we take the Stabilo oil pen, and in the meantime I just brought it into a really sharp I sharpened it. Don't know how to call that. And then I try to get the things around the eyes. And in this case, I mentioned that in the last video, I try to get my own eye shape here, because the original eye is not that clear, and that kind of stuff like on the original Barbie doll of the last video. So these little slots here and the spaces are not such clear, so you can go a little bit over it, and if you like it, you can make this a little bit bigger and change the shape of the eyes a little bit, because this material is a little bit different, so the what's under it, so that will be no problem. Okay, so and I don't press too much in this stadium, because I have to blend it now, and when I have too much ink and it's not, yeah, such great that what I can come up with, then I can change it when it's not too dark. And now you can use your Q-tip or your, or your blending tools again. First I try to do it in this dry stadium, and when it blends not enough, then I will add a mini tiny bit of water. But as I found out, it belongs a little bit to the surface that is under it. So here it blends really nice. Hopefully you can see anything. But sometimes that works not so well. And then you have to use a little bit of water, like I explained in the last video. Yeah, on this surface that's much easier than with the vampire stuff, so don't know why, but it is. Spooky. Why does that look so spooky? Okay. Oh, and perhaps I can say something about the behavior of some people who watch YouTube videos. I think I have to say that. But while you are watching what I'm doing here, perhaps you can think about it a little bit. I recognize that I have one person on my channel. Hi, I think you know who you are. Who is, yeah, obviously clicking this little don't like button, so this thumbs down button on my channel when I just uploaded the video. So I know that this person who is doing this had no chance to watch this video. So it is impossible that the person, when he or she is pressing this thumbs down, it's impossible that the video was played the whole thing, so the whole video. And sometimes I upload it and a few minutes later there is this thumbs down, and I think it's always the same person. And of course, when you don't like something, you are of course allowed to show me that by pressing this thumbs down button. But why the heck are you not able to write a comment then? Why are you pressing this thing? And I think the people who make YouTube videos by their own, they can imagine what that means, what that makes, what feeling that makes in your heart and your soul and everywhere when you try to bring some interesting content to the people. And of course, you know it's not interesting in the same way for everyone, but that's normal. And then you see this reaction and you know it is impossible that this person had watched the video and said, okay, her English is bad, or she's using the supplies in a wrong way or something like that. This person, couldn't have the chance to see that when he or she is pressing this thumbs down when I just uploaded the video. And I'm asking myself, why, when you take the time and press this thumbs down button, when you have this time, why don't you have the time to say something about it? Why don't you have the time to say, okay, Louise, what you did was not such good, it was bad content or something like that? Why don't you have the time to find some arguments for your thumbs down so that I can make my stuff better? And I realized this situation over the last few weeks, and I thought, okay, I have to say that, and I want to say this also, the voice of the people who also make YouTube videos and have the same experience, because I know I'm not the only one to whom that is happening. And perhaps, makes a little bit sense when I say that, and perhaps you have the feeling that you perhaps would like to think about it, what you are doing there a little bit more. And I'm always open for this, how is that called, this kind of positive criticism. Hopefully that's the right word. And only when I know what you didn't like about my videos, then I have the chance to make it better. And of course, I'm very happy when you subscribe to my channel, of course. But if you only are here to press this thumbs down button, then please go and please watch other channels that you are more interested in. And it's no need to watch my channel when you don't like it. And it's not the point that I don't like this thumbs down. Of course, when you have something that you don't like, let me know. And then, of course, it's okay when you press this thumbs down. And sometimes I have this problem too. I search for something in the YouTube search, then I find a video, and the description of the video is promising, for example, to solve my problem, what I have, or to show me things that I'm interested in. And when the video then is made such bad that it doesn't show the content that is promised in the description, of course, then it can happen that I press the thumbs down by myself on another channel, and then I write a comment, hello, I'm the person who pressed the thumbs down on your video. I'm sorry, but your video doesn't show the content you are promising. And I think then the person has the chance to review that for himself or herself and to make it better the next time. Because sometimes you record a video and you think about so many things. I don't know if you can imagine that when you don't make your own YouTube videos and you don't have a channel, but you are thinking about so many things before recording a video and while recording a video, and you think, okay, can I say that, or is that too bad or not interesting or something like that. And it's so such a bad thing when then the people come and press this thumbs down and don't leave anything where you have the chance to grow your own skills, your English or your language in that you are talking. And I know there are many people who appreciate that. Even we people from other countries, not from America, try to do our tutorials in English language. I often get very kind and nice messages about that, and I know that the most of you appreciate that a lot, and that you know that we are no experts, that we are no professional crafters, that we are no professional English speakers, that this is not our mother language, and you really appreciate that, and that makes me really happy. So I have to say that as well, because otherwise it would sound perhaps too bad what I said before. But I think this whole community of these crafty people is such lovely, and there are so many helpful people and so many kind people. I think I never met so many kind people in my life before, like I met in this social media crafty world, and I'm really happy about that. But please think a little bit about that, what's behind, because I'm standing in my kitchen the whole morning, and I will sit on my table probably the whole afternoon to cut this video and to bring it into a shape that you can watch it without getting crazy. I try to give my my opinion, my skills, my tips and tricks away, and I think it's worth it when you don't like it to tell me why you don't like it. That's not meant bad in some way. Of course not. So, yeah, I'm not a bad person. I think I only have one video on my channel where I'm a little bit out of control. But that was when someone has stolen my digital designs and the ones of my friend. And yeah, that's the reason I can't be calm and don't go crazy. But normally I am not a bad person, and I am not angry with anyone, and I try to talk about problems when there are problems. And yeah, so please, if you don't like it, please leave me a comment and tell me why, so that I have the chance to change something. And of course, sometimes you think, okay, a bad motion or something like that by myself, then perhaps you shouldn't watch that, because yeah, sometimes perhaps you are feeling not such good, and then you are not in the motion to say something constructive or something that helps the other person out of this problem or something like that. And perhaps when you think a day later or something like that about that, then you will find out that what you wrote is wrong, or yeah, not that correct like you thought before. Yeah, so that was something that I wanted to say for a long time, and yeah, there was no chance. And when please someone can tell me what I shall do with the lips, I don't know. I just try to add some of my blue color here, but I think it's really dry. I have to add some water, but yeah, and only a little bit here. Perhaps it looks cool when not the whole lips are covered up with this stuff, so that it's only something like an imagination of the lips. But that's also not so easy to do. I just rub over this piece here with the nearly dried acrylic paint on this wooden stick, so that it gets not this whole lips covered up, but only a little bit, so that I perhaps now can over it, because I actually love this dark style. So this shading of the eyes looked, so in reality it looks really cool. Don't know if you can see that in the camera, or if you have to wait until the end of the video when I put in the photos. But yeah, the more shading you have, the more interest you have, I think. But yeah, as I said in the last video as well, with this lips here, it's a little bit tricky, because the most of the dolls have their mouth open. And that always, yeah, when you put too much color, looks a little bit too Barbie-ish. So for me, too much like the original doll was. So I have the luck that this was no Barbie doll in the beginning. So perhaps I can use the teeth here to make something like a shadow, because there's no paint. No, not a shadow, something like a light point to the lip. But it's a hard job that it not looks like a Barbie in the end, and that this mouth can be changed in a way that, yeah, you have a new face in the end, and not this typical Barbie thing. It's not so easy, and I don't want to make it too concrete. I like to give it a little bit of a shaded frame. I did that with the last piece too, with this vampire, because I think that gives it much more interest, and that gives more depth to the whole face. When you blend this a little bit out, and when you smear around a little bit, yeah, around the mouth. So let me just do it, and then I will show you that in detail what I'm meaning. Unfortunately, the head of this piece is a little bit, yeah, it's not looking to you, but it's looking to me, and it's a little bit hard to film that, but I think I managed it. Okay, so let's just remove a little bit of this here. This is nearly dry, so that I can, yeah, smear or remove or whatever, so that it's not too dark here. And the structure of the gesso is a little bit, yeah, not my friend at the moment, because on this mouth it's really how shall I say, a really visible structure. So the brush strokes of the, yeah, so you can see the brush strokes on the layering of the gesso, and yeah, that's not so good for this filigrane and small tiny things here, but I think something like I want it now. So I just take it off here a little bit so that the structure is not such visible. So yeah, don't know how I shall explain that. And with this little bit of water, I can blend it a little bit better than when it's dry, and I can remove the black color in the areas where the gesso structure is too much for me, so that it gets a little bit lighter again there, and that you, yeah, don't see the structure too much. Okay, so now my my lip is gone. Okay, so that was too much. But that's no problem, because of this Stabilo oil pen you can remove it and paint it again. Okay, so now I know this side is dry. Get it a little bit like this. It's not too concrete. Okay, so yeah, I think that's okay. Okay, so let me just show you that. From the top it looks a little bit weird, also from here. So that's the problem. Yeah, as I said, when you look from a different angle, now I see this white space here. From the from my position I couldn't see that, so of course that's not what I want. So I have to try to blend this over into each other. And sometimes different light can make a really big difference, especially when you look from here and then from the other side or something like that. So give it a little bit more of this blending and try to get into this little hole there. And when I would smear this thing too much, I can remove it. I know my green acrylic paint that's showing through would be durable here, but I could add water to my Q-tip here, and then I can start from new if I want, or if I think it's necessary. So in the camera it looks really weird because it's a little bit glossy. But yeah, so in reality that looks much better, so sorry. Yeah, so this is the result now. And yeah, I have to overthink that, and in the end of the video you will see the end result. So what I will change now is perhaps something, yeah, some light points to the eyes, or perhaps I will add some shadings here in the inner parts of the face or something like that, and I will try to get it, yeah, that I can see it from different angles, so that what happened a second ago can't happen again, so that when I look from here or from here, what's now not possible because my camera is here, then I will correct that, but in the same way as I showed you before, so that will be nothing new, so that you, yeah, perhaps can try this by your own. And yeah, I hope I will see a few of some really cool mermaids the next days on Facebook, Instagram, or somewhere else. And yeah, if you like to see more, please subscribe to my channel. Please click this little notification bell so that you get informed when I upload a new video. If you would like to follow me somewhere, all the informations are down below in the info box, so my Instagram account, my Facebook page, and such things. And if you want to have some freebies for your junk journals, you can also join my mailing list. The information is in the info box down below as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Now I will make my finishing stuff and then take some photos and upload this video. Hopefully you will like it. And until the next time, I say have a great time and have many fun with your own craftings, and bye bye, see you the next time.